Okay, so this is a question, graphing question about reciprocals. So we've got to sketch the graph of y equals 1 over x squared minus 4. So what have we got? We've got two different things. Okay, here instead of 1 over x, instead of our usual 1 over x, now we've got 1 over x squared. So what difference does that make? Well, normally we have our reciprocal and it looks like this, because this side is 1 divided by a negative. So that means that the answer must be negative. So that's in our negative quadrant. Now I've got 1 divided by x squared. So that means that this is going to look the same. But now I've got 1 divided by a negative number that's squared. Now remember, squared numbers are always positive. So that means that basically my 1 over x squared looks like this. There's no negative, nothing in negative quadrant. Right, okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is we've got minus 4 here. So the first thing we need to do is we need to draw our asymptote, because it says write the equation of any asymptote. So what we're going to do, we're going to draw a line here. Okay, and this means that this equation of this line is y equals minus 4, because normally our asymptote is at y equals 0. It's minus 4 outside the brackets, so we're moving it down by 4, so our asymptote is minus 4. So now we can draw the graph, because we know that this is positive and it's going to come down to here and not touch it. We know this side is also positive and it's going to come down, and the same thing is going to get close, but it's not going to touch it. So that is our y equals 1 over x minus 4. That's part 1 taken care of. Part 2. The curve with y equals 1 over x plus k squared minus 4 passes through the origin. We have to find the possible values of k. So we're trying to find this constant. Well, the first thing is, if it passes through the origin is 0, 0. So that means that x is 0 and y is 0. So let's substitute those values into our equation. So y equals 1 over x plus k all squared minus 4. So now that means that 0 equals 1 over x is 0 plus k all squared minus 4. Well, that just means that 0 equals 1 over k squared minus 4. So 4 equals 1 over k squared. So therefore k is equal to, now remember there are two solutions, it said 2 possible values. That's because to get k, we're going to have to take a square root. So we have to remember we always get a plus and a minus. So plus or minus the square root of a quarter. And hopefully you all know the square root of a quarter is a half. Okay, we can see that on a graph. This is my y equals 1 over x squared minus 4, which is the first part. Remember, here's our asymptote. On the graph, it looks like it hits 4, but it only gets very close. If I change this to x plus a half, which is one of our solutions, there we go, it passes through the origin. So that is part 2 of our question taken care of. Now part 3, the curve y equals 1 over x squared is translated by 3 units in the negative x direction. So that means that we are going to go 3 units in that direction. So now what does that mean? Well, what it means is normally our asymptote, remember basically this is going to be shifted in the x direction. So that means that our vertical asymptote, which is basically x equals 0, is going to move, and it's going to become x equals minus 3. So what's going to be the equation that we're going to get? Well, if it's moving in the x direction, that means it must be in the bracket. So that's x plus 3 all squared. Remember, inside the bracket is x, outside the bracket affects y. Right, now there's one last, that's our third part taken care of. So far we've got 2 for 6 marks. Final part of the question. The curve y equals 1 over x squared is stretched parallel to the y-axis with a scale factor of 4. As a result, the point P, which is 1, 1, is transferred to the point Q. Give the coordinates of Q. Okay, so if we're stretching it in the y direction, that means that the y is getting bigger. So what will the equation be? If I've got y equals 1 over x squared, basically going to stretch it in the y direction, so I'm going to get y equals 4 over x squared. Okay, so this is a stretch factor in the y direction, so remember basically if I stretch it parallel to the y-axis, it means that basically it's not going to be in the bracket. So that's 4 times 1 over x squared. Okay, now if that's true, the only thing that's going to change is y. And that means that if P was at 1, 1, Q is going to be at 1, 4. Again, we can see it with a graph. If we change this to 1 over x squared, so we're back to our 1 over x squared. Okay, if we now stretch this, well actually let's include a point, we'll include our point of 1, 1. That. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to stretch it by 4. You can see 1, 1 is no longer on there. But if I go from 1, which is here, all the way up, and I put this here, that point, I make it exactly 1. Make it exactly 1. Yeah. If I make it 1, it'll be 1, 4. So that is the final part of our question. And we've got all 8 marks.